Hey, cooks, managers, hope you're having a good day. Thanks for dropping by and having an interest in this template. I hope you make good use of it because the file does work. This free Google Sheets recipe costing template is an excellent solution for smaller operations with a limited number of recipes, but that still need costing updates and ingredient management for retail pricing decisions. Think coffee shops, snack bars, sandwich shops, even something like a fish and chip place with a limited menu. It's going to work really well. Realistically, you're looking at up to, maybe 24, 36 recipes that can be managed in this template. And I know this because I used a file very similar to this for years. And the company that I worked for, we kept accurate food costs and used that information to make, menu pricing decisions all the time. So let me tell you what this template will do. It organizes your ingredients into manageable categories. It allows for multiple measuring units like cups, pounds, grams, ounces, weights or volume, you decide. Shows full recipe ingredients, costs, and instructions in collapsible columns. Updates instantly the moment you update the cost of an ingredient in that recipe. Provides visual alerts to update ingredient costs. Generates food cost percentages and gross profit once you enter your menu price. Now this file, even though it's in Google Sheets, of course you can use it online in your Google account, but you can download the file and use it in Excel as well. Okay, let's have a look in this file. Your ingredients are in tables that break out when you use them by using the plus sign here to reveal grouped columns. So I have some typical categories like meat, dairy, produce, dry goods, etc. But you can name these whatever you like. When you want to create a new recipe category, I'm using a cafe menu as an example, but from the template tab, right-click, copy, and rename it. So for this imaginary cafe, I have scones and cookies as categories so far. When you want to add a new recipe, just open a current recipe, grab all the columns, drag across, move one column over, then paste and rename. Closing recipes you're not using allows for easier slide navigation. So you can see why in each category it's probably best to limit the number of recipes to maybe under 10. Okay, I recently made this recipe for peanut butter cookies with cranberries. It's here in my Food Cost Chef calculator, and I have the recipe in my Trello recipe management board. So using this recipe, I'm going to demo the whole file so you know how to add your own recipes and ingredients and see how you navigate around the template. So if we look at the ingredients in this recipe, there are definitely a few I need to add. Let's start over here in the spice rack category where I need to add salt. I'll do a few of these slowly. Once you get a good system for adding your ingredients, your recipes can be popped out so quickly. Okay, start with the date. This will format by itself. Ingredient, name, supplier, by unit. This is basically how the ingredient arrives from your supplier. In this case, it's 3 times 1 kilogram boxes of salt, $4.79. Now the yield. The yield factor is basically for loss control. What I mean by that is not necessarily shrinkage, because we can deal with that in the recipes. This is for how much of this product you buy over a year that will never get to the customer's plate. These factors include spillage, spoilage, waste, staff consumption, over measuring, etc. By default, I kind of lean towards 95%, but there are some exceptions which will come up later. So 95% it is for the salt. Here's where we break down the purchase unit into usable recipe units. There are 4 unit cost columns you can use, but the first one is for the lead unit that the other units will extract the math from. Let me explain. So we want this in kgs. That's easiest because that's the way we bought it. So the function is easy. I'll just go equals, go back to the invoice cost cell, just click that cell, divided by yield, click that cell. This factors in our annual product lost. Then divide by 3, because that's how many kgs are in this product that I bought. Now we have our real cost per kilogram. From there, it's easy to figure out grams, so let's do that. Equals cost divided by 1,000. The yield is already built in here, so we don't have to worry about that here. Now you might have a need for, using an ounce, so let's do that too. We'll multiply the grams here by 28, and that will equal an ounce. But, if you're unsure and you want the precise conversion, you can always click up here and use Google Gemini AI to ask what the exact conversion is. We'll revise this to 28.35 because that's the info that came up. Lesson learned. Now, while we are in Gemini, we can also ask how many grams would be in a cup. This is different because it's a volume measurement, and some recipes might use volume and or weights. Okay, it says 288 grams, so we'll multiply the gram cost by 288. There you go. Okay, first ingredient done. Let's move on for more examples. I already have butter in the dairy category, so you know what? I'll just move over to the dry storage and we'll start with the peanut butter. Smooth, Kraft, $12.29. This is a 2 kilogram tub, but we want the cost of 1 kilogram. So that is invoice divided by yield divided by 2, because 2 is how many kilograms we bought. Here is our cost per kilogram. Now let's factor that down to grams. Easy, divide by 1,000. I will do ounce as well, and we'll ask Gemini about the weight of a cup of peanut butter. If you're a small operation and doing, small scale recipes, cups are probably going to come up frequently. It says 256 grams. That's fine. Keep in mind that when you actually get these products in, what I like to do is some random tests and actually do the physical measurement of a cup. And then I can come back in here and make adjustments if needed. But at least this way, you have a fair estimate to work with until it's confirmed. Now, if I pop back over to the invoice price, you can see that the way we're inputting these measurements, they all rely on the invoice price. So if I change this temporarily to $15.29, you can see all these costs go up accordingly. But let's fix that. Okay. Still with the dry goods, we can add brown sugar, 20 kilogram bag, and we will break this down to 1 kilogram. Invoice divided by yield divided by 20. You get the pattern now. Gram divided by 1,000. Ounce multiplied by 28.35. And cup. Okay, Gemini is saying 220 grams. Sounds good. This white sugar is going to be similar, but probably not identical. Gemini says 200 grams. Again, I will take that until I can prove it wrong. Going back to the dairy category, I see I have eggs already, and I cost them out at each, which is great for most recipes. Notice here, though, I have a much lower yield because eggs have a far more fragile survival rate. So 85% to me is more normal, and that is factored into the cost of each egg I buy. Let's add this vanilla extract. Great product from Costco, by the way. I can't see the brand name. No matter, I'll just do Costco, and Costco is fine. This is a volume buy at 473 milliliters, $15.39 at 98%. My yield is a little better here because staff tend not to drink vanilla. We factor this down to milliliters, but in this case, recipes often call for teaspoons. So I'm relying on Gemini to tell me how many milliliters are in a teaspoon. And let's do tablespoons too. Looks like 5 and 15. Well, let's just go for that now. Of course, we're going to need flour, all-purpose, 20 kg bag. 98%, should be 95, but I can fix that later. Kilo, gram, ounce, and I will do a cup measurement on this product too. It says about 120 grams. Okay. Baking soda, measured the same way, except that I did that in teaspoons as well because that's very common for recipes. We're adding dried cranberries. It's a 1.8 kilogram bag. So the equation will be invoice divide by yield divide by 1.8 equals cost per 1 kilogram. For this, we're just going to add gram as another measurement. We'll do the same thing for peanuts. They come to 0.007 cents per gram. Okay, it looks like we have all the ingredients. So let's go to the cookies tab, slide over to the peanut butter cookie recipe and pop it open. Now you just have to start adding the ingredients. 170 grams of butter. Now, when we get to the ingredient cost column, this is where we connect the recipe to the ingredients list. So all we have to do is a simple formula that starts with equals. Then we go find our grams of butter, click that cell, go back to the recipe, press enter, and there you go. Next is peanut butter, 300 grams. The formula is equals the quantity multiplied by asterisk. Then let's navigate to dry goods. There's the peanut butter in grams. Click enter, and the recipe has the cost locked in now. Okay, we're going to speed this up a bit. 200 grams of brown sugar, 100 grams of sugar, and now the eggs are each, which is good. So my quantity here is 2. Copy that price from the dairy category. Vanilla, which in this recipe is 10 milliliters. I mean, that's pricey. I guess this is why they invented artificial vanilla. Okay, now the flour, 375 grams, and baking soda, which we did add as a teaspoon unit, so that works here. Perfect. And a little bit of salt, that's in the spice rack. You know, for items with minuscule cost, the cost may appear to be 0. You can always expand the decimals to make sure it's picking up a cost. Now, just the peanuts, 250 grams, then the cranberries, 100 grams. By the way, this makes these cookies really chunky and a beautiful soft texture. Okay, so all the ingredients have been tabulated up here in the cost per batch. I entered 45 cookies from this recipe, making the cost per portion 20 cents. In cost number 1, let's see what 89 cents looks like, 22%. Very good. You can also do another pricing scenario. Usually I do higher, but let's go lower here. We'll go to 59 cents. That's 34% food cost. Good to know. Now back in the recipe card, I can attach the color codes for the ingredient categories. These colors indicate which category the ingredient is in, letting anyone know where to find the ingredient for cost updates. And the ingredient cost percentage shows where your major costs are for this menu item. Also, if you want to scale this recipe, just change the number here and all the ingredient amounts change too. Your recipe instructions can be pasted over here to the right. You might have to do some text wrapping and paste by blocks, but it can hold a lot of text here. Let's collapse that though, because another way to show your recipe instructions is to just post a link right in the recipe card to an external source like my Trello board, where you can link directly to a specific recipe with images and all the instructions. As you can see, it's a little more work to connect all of your ingredients, but you only have to do it once. That's the beauty of this template. Your costs will be up to date as long as you keep on top of your invoices and change where needed. To see how this works, we'll go back to the cranberries in the dry storage category. I'll change the cranberries to an astronomical $160 per bag. Change the amount here. And back in the recipe card, wow, the cost of cranberries has affected the cost per batch from $9, and that in turn has put your food cost for this product way out of whack. Looking at things like this just make me nervous, so I'm going to go back and correct that. And the recipe's in fine shape again. Okay, just a couple other things. You can see this one date here in the dairy section for the 2% milk. It has a different background and font color. It's highlighted this way because the date this cost was added is now older than the update alert you set here, which shows 60 days. So for example, if I change this to 120 days, the alert goes away. If I reduce the alert to 10 days, more products get highlighted. Each ingredient category has its own alert day setting. So for the meats, you can set something like 45 days if you're comfortable with that. And dry goods could be probably longer, 90, 120 days, all up to you. It's also good to have your suppliers listed here so they can be easily pasted or referred to in the supplier column here. You can even add notes to these suppliers, for contact info. That's helpful if you're sharing this file with a colleague or if you're off for the day when ordering takes place. Okay, that's all I got right now. This is a free download on my website at foodcostchef.com. Check the downloads area and let me know if you have any questions, because I'll probably add them to the FAQs on that very same page. Chefs, cooks, managers, owners, remember, it's only good food if the math works. Take care. See you next time.